Hello, everyone, and welcome to this brand new web session from Unwired. My name is Praveen Kale, and I'm the VP for products at Unwired. And in today's discussion, we'll be looking at how the Unwired suite of mobile applications is enabling companies mobilize their maintenance activities and help define their maintenance processes in great detail, and thus enabling the technicians to be very productive in the field and achieving high plant uptimes. So before we get more into details, I just have a few housekeeping items out here. So if you have any questions anytime during the call, please feel free to use the Q&A panel to post your questions, and I will get to them at the end of the session. We also have a special offer. So any application in the Unwired suite of mobile apps, you could choose to have a trial, and we will offer you a free proof of concept. So with that being said, so let us dive straight into this session. So this is the agenda. So we have an introduction to the company, the applications, a few case studies, and of course, the live demo. So about Unwired, so we are a Houston headquartered company with our R&D in Bangalore, India. But we have our customers spread all across the world, as you can see from the map out here. So as a digital solutions provider, so we have a wide variety of applications that we offer to our customers. In the area of plant maintenance, we have the SAP EM and PM, inventory and warehouse management solutions, safety work permits, turbo forms. We also have the workflow and approval processes in SAP, PR and POs, which are the most important ones. And of course, we also do a lot of custom application development. So this slide just talks about some of the industry verticals that we operate in, and some of our key customers. So we have AB InBev, Coca-Cola, LyondellBasell, and what have you. So some of the recognitions that we have received over the years with a certification from SAP in 2021 to certify our integration with SAP ECC as well as S/4HANA. So what are the key differentiators of Unwired compared to the competition? So the solutions that we have are all, can be used independently. The suite of applications that I'm going to show you, and they can also be used, plug and play manner. So you could have a set of different applications or a single application that does all your activities in the plant. So most of our implementations are 100% remote. We're very flexible and responsive. And when it comes to cost, we're very competitive when it comes to the other competition out there. So what are the business cases for mobility? So in the last 2 years, we've seen the havoc caused by COVID, and the companies that were not digital had to pay the price, right? So they had to get left behind when it came to the competition. So the most important thing is to be connected at all times, to your the employees to be connected with the business, and being able to independently execute all of their activities without being dependent on anybody in the field, right? So high plant uptimes, being able to define in great detail your maintenance activities. So these are some of the business cases that we have for mobile asset management. So the Unwired suite of apps for SAP EM. So these are very specific to SAP plant maintenance. So we'll look at all of these applications a little more in detail, and we will also show you the live demo of some of these solutions out here. So we have the inspections and rounds, which will enable you to inspect equipment, capture KPIs, and then report them back into SAP. Planning and scheduling of your jobs and maintenance activities for your technicians. Warehouse management, goods receipts, goods issues. So stock overviews. So we have solutions for that. Work orders is nothing but executing your jobs, being able to do a time confirmation, material confirmation. So that is the work order solution for you. Digital Forms is a complementary solution to your SAP task list, which allows you to define your maintenance activities in great detail. We'll see how that integrates with the work orders application. And of course, safe work permits, which is a very important use case of late. So what are the key features of the Unwired suite of mobile apps? So our solutions are both deployable on-premise, cloud, or you can also choose a hybrid model. All our solutions are cross-platform, so you could choose your device of choice, iOS, Android, or Windows. We do a lot of peripheral device integration, so you could bring your barcode scanners, RFID readers, or printers. We can integrate all of that with our solutions. All our solutions are offline capable. So all the activities that the technician needs to perform in the field can be downloaded offline for use on the device. And whenever there is connectivity, there's automatic synchronization with the enterprise systems. We integrate with a lot of different document management systems. So it could be just SAP, SharePoint, Documentum, or any other homegrown system we integrate with. When it comes to maps, we have integration with both Google Maps as well as S3. So let us take a look at some of these applications a little more in detail. So the mobile operator rounds, the rounds. The backend for into this discussion. So the SAP ECC or the SAP S/4HANA is the backend system that the solution is going to be interfacing with the enterprise system. And in SAP, we have the ability to capture KPIs using measuring points for equipment or at the level of the function locations. These measuring points can be qualitative and both quantitative in nature. And the ability to see a historical view of all these measurements is also something which the technicians would like to have in the field. So the Unwired operator rounds enables you to capture these KPIs for equipment and function locations in SAP. And it also allows you to enable these captures with GPS coordinates so that we have traceability and accountability when it comes to capturing this information. So we can unlock work orders and measurements using both GPS coordinates as well as RFID tags. And if there's any discrepancy which you notice in the field, you can always create a notification for it, and then click a picture and then attach any other documents. All of this can be done offline. And whenever there's connectivity, you can synchronize this with the SAP system. So this is the rounds application. The work orders application, as we know, a work order is just a description of the job for the technician to perform in the field. So the work orders application allows the technicians to download all the work orders that have been assigned to him or her, along with all the electronic work packages. So any documents, any maintenance manuals, spare part manuals, service manuals, and everything can be downloaded offline along with the work order for use on the mobile device. So the technicians, as and when they're executing their job, they can do their time confirmations. They can issue goods, against the work order and use them in the field. So all of this can also be done, work offline. And if there is a need to review all the historical maintenance that has been carried out on a particular equipment, so we have an option to do that as well. And for scenarios like the utility space where most of the activity would rather be done on a map view rather than a list and details screen. So we have the ability to completely perform your maintenance activities using a map view and navigation. So the Unwired Turbo Forms. So I was one of the core topics for today's discussion is what are the limitations of the standard data model that SAP offers in terms of describing your maintenance activity, and how the Unwired suite of mobile solutions enables companies to describe their maintenance activities in more detail. So the Unwired Turbo Forms is that piece in the puzzle which attempts to solve it. So the Unwired Turbo Forms itself is an independent solution that works on its own. It can be used in a lot of areas in your company. It could be used in procurement, HR processes, sales and distribution, or just or any other process which requires you to just fill a paper-based form. But when coupled with your work orders application to digitize maintenance activities, it becomes a very, very powerful solution. So this slide basically talks about the main topic for today's discussion. We have three solutions here. One is the enterprise system SAP ECC, where all the maintenance activities are defined. We have the Unwired mobile applications, which basically digitizes or mobilizes the SAP work orders and notifications so that you can perform all of these activities on a mobile device rather than on an SAP system. And then you have the Turbo Forms, which allows you to define these maintenance activities in great detail. So generally, when a company uses an SAP system to define maintenance, they use a task list, which is a template, which contains a list of instructions for the users to execute in the field. Now, the limitation of a task list is that it's very verbose in nature. So you have a short text and then you have a long text, which the users have to really read a lot to actually execute their activities in the field. Because nobody likes to see anything which is verbose. So what companies do is they come up with paper-based forms, PDF documents, which contain a lot of rich UI elements, which make it easier for the users to consume that information in the field. But the problem is all of these forms, when printed on a piece of paper, makes it difficult for the technicians to carry them around, lug them around in the plant, and then having to fill it and then submit it back to the data entry operators at the end of the day, and scanning it and then storing it in the document systems becomes quite a bit of an overhead, right? Now, what we're trying to do is with the Unwired Turbo Form solution, we are trying to replace the paper-based processes with the digital representations of those forms. And we'll see how these three pieces come together in the live demo in the next couple of minutes. So some of the popular use cases that we have, which I will be talking about, is mobile data entry, checklist, asset management, work permits, surveys, workflows, and quality checks. So we have some case studies. Maybe I will send these slides to you after this meeting, so you can just have a look at them. But I think in the interest of time, we will just dive right into the demonstration itself. So what you will be seeing on my screen right now is the Unwired EM application, which is a mobile application, which, like I said, digitizes or mobilizes all your SAP-based plant maintenance processes. So we have the round style, which allows you to do the inspections and data KPI capture for equipment, orders, which allows the technicians to execute their job, notifications, technical objects, and the most important piece here, which is the digital forms. Now let's look at a technician who is walking around the field. So he has access to a list of all the function locations in the plant that he is working in. So you can always click on any particular function location and get the details of that location. And if you want to look at the hierarchy, you can always drill down, and then you can get the list of all the equipment and function locations in there. And then you have the bill of material for the equipment, and you can also look at the spare parts associated with that particular equipment. So all of this information is available, and if the user wants to look at the detail of any particular equipment, you can always drill down and then look at that information as well. So let's say a plant supervisor, now he's walking around the plant and trying to plan out his maintenance activities. So he comes across a particular equipment for which he needs to create a work order, define a job, and then let us see how that plays out in the mobile device. So we have this equipment here. So this equipment contains a list of all the generic information, the manufacturer information, responsibilities, sub-items. If there is any historical maintenance, you can always click this and then say get the history. But the supervisor is planning maintenance. He sees a maintenance manual, and then he sees some machine cross inspection. So that information is already available. But now what the supervisor does is he wants to create a work order for this particular equipment. He starts by using this option here, creates a work order and says it's an ad hoc inspection. And then the order type would be, a maintenance order. Priority would be a medium. And then if there is any other details that you would like to type in, so the details can be entered as long text, and you can just go ahead and create a work order. So if you want to attach any documents which describe the issue with a particular equipment, the documents can be pulled up. You can use a camera and then take a picture. So I'm just taking a picture out here. And then that's how easy it is to create a work order for a particular equipment in the field. Now, once we've done that, we have a new ad hoc inspection that we created. So I'm just going to submit this. As you can see here on your screen, it says it's a new work order, which is not yet submitted to the SAP system. I can go here, make additional corrections if I want to. So here I'm just going to, edit the description. I'm just going to say, ad hoc inspection, and then I'm going to say submit. So once I have submitted this work order, you can see that this work order has been queued for submission in the background, and I can go about my other activities in the application itself. So in an asynchronous mode of operation, the user is not blocked, and then he's free to navigate anywhere in the application and conduct other activities like creating a notification or filling a form. So now let us see if we have a response from the system. So the ad hoc inspection was created, and we have a new work order, which is 820239 that was created, right? Now, what we are trying to see here is the operation is something which can describe the maintenance activity to some extent, but we would like to have more detail associated with this particular job for the technician to perform it in the field. So we have a new tab here called the forms, right? The forms tab allows you to associate electronic work packages with a job that you're trying to define. So what are the kind of forms that I could have, for example, in this work order? So I could have, a work permit that I want to create along with this work order. I would like to create an equipment inspection form for this work order. And then I would, maybe industrial inspection form, right? So I have 3 kind of forms that I have instantiated for use along with this work order. And if I get into the inspection form itself, so the data that you see here and the layout of this is something which is very specific to the activity that you would like to perform. And when you start filling this form, what you see is some of these fields on the form have been pre-populated. For example, the work order number and the inspection date, right? So this has been pre-filled. So not just this, there is a lot of other fields that we could also, default in the form, which prevents the user from having to fill in all these fields, manually. So let's fill in some of these fields out here. So let's say I'm going to put in the time, the travel time. So I'm just going to put in some fields out here. And if I have any fields which require some validation, as you can see there, we can perform these validations so that the user does not make a data entry error. And then these forms could be very large in size. So you can see here that this form has multiple sections. And these sections can be grouped together so that any section that has been filled can be collapsed, and then the next section which the user needs to fill can then come up and then start the data entry for that section. So any comments could be entered. So that way, there are a lot of fields in this particular form. So you can see that through the use of rich UI controls, the filling of the form becomes very intuitive, for the user himself. So at the end of all the forms data that has been filled, the technician can take a signature. The customer can take a signature as well, and then I'm going to save this form, and I can also complete this form, which is indicated by a flag here, along with that entry here. So similarly, I can also have a scenario wherein I need to create a work permit before a technician actually goes in the field and executes a job, right? If I'm an operator, then the operator might need to create a work permit for the maintenance technician, who would then use it to perform his maintenance activities. So a work permit would probably look something like this. So this is just a sample work permit that we have created for an electrician to use. So we have all these different questions that the operator can fill in the plant. I can just say plant 1000. So where exactly is the main power disconnect? And then some of these questions can be answered. So whatever content that you're seeing here is something which is customizable. I'll get to that very soon. And then voltage, some of these fields can be marked as mandatory. So voltage 220 volts, qualified electrician, yes, HSE manager, D, and then, okay, I'm just going to enter these values out here. And then I'm going to associate this work permit with this work order and then submit it, right? The next thing is one last form, which is to do with equipment inspection. Yes. So this form is something which I would like to explain to you a little more in detail, because we have a lot of other fields which get defaulted out here. And at the end of this form, we also have, based on the complete inspection that you're performing. So this again has a lot of sections. So it's a fairly large form. So let's say I'm just entering my name here, employee ID 123, inspection done. And then finally, I have a final assessment question that is, which says, do you want to create a notification in SAP based on your inspection results? So what we're doing is, not only are we allowing the maintenance activities to be defined in great detail, but we are also bringing in the ability to have these workflows which trigger follow-up activities in the backend system. So if the inspection that you're performing requires a follow-up activity, in this case, the creation of a notification in SAP based on the results of this inspection, you can mark that flag here, and then you can say save. And once I am ready to submit this work order to the SAP system, you will see that all of these forms would get associated with the work order in SAP. And so the follow-up notification would also get created as a part of this maintenance activity. So that is how we can build these powerful maintenance flows and processes. So what we'll do is 820239. So I'm just going to switch to the SAP system quickly. And 820239, okay? So I'm going to see what has happened with this work order in SAP. So we have this ad hoc inspection with the details that we just entered. And then what we did was we created 3 independent forms, which we filled. And then we have an attachment that was attached to this particular work order, which is what you're seeing out here. This is the picture. We have the industrial inspection form. So we'll just quickly take a look at that. So this is the industrial inspection form with the work order number, which was defaulted, with the phone number that we entered, and then some of the fields which we filled and finally signed off on that form. So that is that. And the equipment inspection, this is of interest because we had a follow-up workflow to that. So let's take a look at that. So we said that we want to, we defaulted a lot of context from the work order on this particular form without the user having to enter it. And at the end, we said, do you want to create a notification in SAP based on the inspection results? So we have done that. And then we have all these other information that we filled on the form. And if you look at this work order that we just created, it has this notification 100022729. So if I hit the display of this, you would see that this notification was created as a follow-up on this date to the work order that I just created, right? So this is also an example of how the workflow, operates in the backend when integrated with the forms application. Now, the question that you may have is, how easy or how difficult is it, to build these maintenance digital forms and convert the paper-based forms into digital processes. So I'll show you how easy it is. What you see on your screen right now is the Unwired Forms solution. And here we have a list of all the categories that we have of forms. So we have, maintenance forms, plant maintenance, work permits. And then we have safety forms. So we have multiple categories of forms, right? Now I'm just going to take a maintenance form, and then I'm going to use a work permit out here. And then I go into the editor, design editor, which brings me to this drag and drop forms, builder. So let's say, for example, in these boxes, I would like to add another activity to perform. So I can just quickly go here and say I would want to, add a new activity. And then say, and once I've done that, so I can preview the change that I've made here. And I can, save that. And after which, it gets added to this list out here. And let's say I have to add another field which tries to capture the shift. So I can probably take a select field here and then put it here. And then say, I'm going to say shift. And in the data, I'm going to say day. And then I'm going to say night. So once I've done that, this is what the field looks like in the form. So if I'm happy with what I'm seeing here, I can just save this. So you can see here. So once I've made these couple of changes to this particular work permit, what I can do is I can save it. And then I can do a test just to make sure that it behaves like the way I want it to. So here I can use a day shift, a night shift, and then I have all these different questions, the layout, I can review it. And then if I'm happy with this particular layout, then I can also publish this, right? So I'm going to publish this, and I'm going to say shift I'm going to publish this, right? So once I've done that, what happens is if I go back to the solution out here. So if you look at the forms tile here, so we're looking at the work permits, right? So work permit, this is the read-only view, which does not contain that new identification that I had, and it does not have that shift value here. And the version of that particular form right now is, version 3, right? So once the form has been published, what I can do is the form can be queued to all these users in the field automatically, and they will have the latest version of this form pushed to their individual devices. Or I can also request for a download of the latest work permit, and by which this information would be available for me on the mobile device as well, right? So I'm just going to quickly show you how easy it is to get that information on your mobile device. So we have permit version 3.
Hey, Praveen, let me do a time check. You have 5 more minutes before we open it up for Q&A. Is there anything you want to show on the core work order and notifications? Anything, any demo, anything on that? Then let's take the next 4 minutes to do that, please.
Yeah. So while the work permit form refreshes, so what I'll also show you is how simple it is to create notifications or maybe create a purchase order. So if you look at the notifications screen tile, you can create a notification directly from the notification tile, or you can create, notifications for an equipment from the equipment hierarchy, right? So let's say I have this equipment to which I want to create a notification. Just like the way I created the work order, I can create a notification. Discrepancy, and then notification type. I can say maintenance request, priority, low, and all the technical information, technical object information is already captured as a part of the notification. And just like the way I captured an image of the work order, I can also do it for the notification. So if I want to do some annotations to this, saying that, this is where the problem is, I can do that. Here it is. I can add some text. All right. And then I can do that. So annotations are possible. So once this is done, I can, submit this notification to SAP. So you can see that there's a new notification that has been created. So notifications, if I want to add more details to it, I can come to the items tab. If I want to capture the object part damage, core damage and cause, I can always do that. So all this is standard SAP, customization. So all this information comes down. But I will just, go ahead and then submit this notification. So the notification gets submitted, and whenever there is connectivity, that would get synchronized with the backend system. So apart from that, I can always do, stock lookup. So there's a list of all the spare parts that are available in the system for me. The available stock is displayed out here. And if I want to refresh it, I can always hit the refresh button, and then it would, bring the latest stock in the system for me. So if I want to get into the details of a particular material, and then I can also do it. If it has a BOM structure associated with it, I can look at the hierarchy. So that's possible. And then there is another scenario. Let's say, for example, we also have the ability to create purchase requisitions as a part of the EM application. So let's say the plant supervisor feels that there is a particular spare part which is going out of stock. He can create a stock replenishment request. He creates a purchase requisition. And let's say that the process requires a procurement questionnaire to be filled as a part of the purchase requisition. So you can also use forms for that. That's another extended use case. So I say I want to associate a procurement questionnaire with the purchase requisition that I created. So the procurement questionnaire comes up like this, and then say who are the vendors shortlisted. I can say, I can just name a few vendors, Walmart, and contact. Then I can say Target. So yes, so what we're trying to just showcase through this demo here is the forms itself is not limited to just converting a paper into a digital representation, but it also tries to show you that the digital forms application, when combined with your EM processes or your inventory processes or your HR processes, can be a very, very potent tool in complementing the SAP processes that you have in your companies at this point in time. So having said that, the floor is now open for any questions that you may have.
Yeah. So one question that comes up often is, how long does it take to implement the work order application, right? So Praveen, I'll take a first cut at it. I think it's safe to say that depending on the requirements, it can take anywhere between 2 and 3 months. Is that a fair estimate?
Yes, Alok, that is true. Yes.
Okay. And then the other question, which from our past webinars always comes up, these forms. How long does it take to build these forms? And is it really no code? So yes, it is a true no code form builder. And what we have found is that typically, it can take anywhere between 4 hours and 2 days, depending on the complexity of the form. So that's, it's very easy. Any business or IT analyst, business user can build these forms. So that's not an issue at all. There's no coding required at all.
That is true. And what you saw here is, I demonstrated to you how easy it is to modify existing forms or build new ones. We have a rich set of controls. Some of these basic controls are available here. I'll probably also showcase some of the other customized or specialized controls where you can have validations for email, URLs, daytime controls, and all of that. You have multiple layouting controls which enable you to design your form in the way you would like to represent it or give it to the users. Apart from that, we have the ability to display or scan barcodes, scan QR codes, embed pictures into the forms. So there's a lot of extended use cases that you can have. And like I said, workflows is something which you can enable to have follow-up activities triggered off from the forms that you fill based on the data that has been entered in the form. You can have a lot of backend activities triggered. Yes, so these and all of these documents can also be converted into PDF forms and archived in other systems for record keeping if required. We can export all of these forms in PDF formats to SharePoint, document them or whatever. And all of the data that is available in the system is also available for reporting subsequently. So if you have a BI system where you would like to gather this information and do some analysis, so we have a lot of open endpoints which can be tapped into to extract this information out into those systems as well.
Okay, so I just want to remind everybody of the free proof of concept offer that we are giving for everybody who attended the webinar. Please take us up on that. We are happy to do the POC. And what we do in that is we request a subset of your plant maintenance data. We put in our SAP IDES system, and you can access it through your own mobile devices. So you get a really good view of that. So we have a question here. Can you show approval of, Praveen, can you read that question and see if we can do that right now?
Yeah, so the question is, can we show approval of a notification and convert a notification into a work order? And what about changing system and user status of notifications and work orders? Yes. So the approval of notification and converting into a notification is something which we have done. So that is something which we have done for customers. And maybe I'm not able to demonstrate that to you on this call, but in terms of having forms which do not directly create the notification in SAP, but have a workflow kind of a mechanism wherein the supervisor can look at all these observations that have been captured by a technician in the field, and then decides to convert all of these observations into notifications in a customized cockpit, is something which is a very popular use case. So that is something which we have done. And as far as the changing the statuses of the work order and notification, so that is something which is definitely possible. So if you look at the work order out here, so the work order has these different statuses that you can see here. I can always come here. These user statuses can be numbered statuses as well as unnumbered statuses. I can put them in process. I can say started, blocked, finished. So I can set these statuses on the work order and have them submitted to SAP. Same thing goes for notifications as well. So whatever activities that you're able to perform on a order or a notification in SAP, the same thing is also possible for you to execute it in the mobile device as well.
Great. Okay. So Sheil, can you unmute everybody? We've been speaking a lot. Let's listen to some more people. Let's open up all the lines. We have about 4 more minutes. So does anybody want to raise a question? So I think what we will do is we will provide you the presentation deck here after the call. And there's one more question. So before that, I'll come to you. So we'll send you the presentation deck. You will have it, and we will follow up to see if you're interested in the POC. Feel free to reach out to us. And Praveen, there's one more question on chat, please.
Yeah. So one more question that I have is, how do we filter for the function locations that I am responsible for, right? Okay, so that is another very interesting question, because what you see on my screen right now is a list of 113 technical objects. So we have 84 function locations, and then we have 29 equipment. So some of the function location structures in companies can be very complex. You could have, let's say for a utilities company, you could have thousands of equipment and thousands of function locations, right? So we do not want to be downloading all of that information into the mobile device, because we're looking at a limited amount of storage space available on the device, right? So the distribution rules is something which the EM application allows you to define, which defines the substructure in your complete function location hierarchy which the user operates in. And only that substructure is what will get downloaded to the user's mobile device. So if that substructure contains only 200 equipment and 300 locations, only that substructure would get downloaded to your mobile device, and the user will be able to operate within that context. So the user's organizational context, whatever is defined in SAP. So we have a configuration tool which is available, which allows you to define these customized routes, not only just the function location and the equipment structure, but also the kind of order types, the statuses of the orders, and the notifications which enable them to be downloaded to the user's mobile device. So this is a configuration tool which probably will need a completely different session on its own. But I will be happy to get into a call and then show all of these configuration options to you.
So we have a couple of minutes. We have one more question. Can users share the mobile device? I think we have done that for customers, right, Praveen? But you can add.
Yes, yes, definitely. So sharing the same mobile device across users is possible. So just like the way you have multiple profiles for users on a Windows laptop, wherein the user, when he logs in using his Windows credentials, gets a profile created for him. All of his personal data is stored in that folder. Similarly, even in the mobile application, we have the concept of profiles. So individual users can use the same device on a rotational basis, because the same device can be used by 2 or 3 people working in different shifts. So each user can have his personalized information stored, and you can rotate the same device across multiple users. That's definitely possible.
Great. So I think we're coming to the end. I put my video on so people can put a face to our names. Again, I should have introduced myself. I'm Alok Pant. I'm based in Houston. I'm CEO of Unwired. We'd like to thank all of you for your time today. Please reach out to us. We are more than happy to partner with you on your journey. Happy to offer the POC. Again, thanks everyone, and we will keep the conversation going. Thank you. Oh, one more question, Praveen, go ahead. There's another question on chat, so we'll keep going.
Okay, so yeah, do we have the ability to create a service request? Yes, definitely. So like I said, the tool is configurable. So based on what processes that you want to enable in plant maintenance, we can plug and play. So this application that you see on your screen is role-based, in that if you have a technician whose only job is to perform inspections and rounds, the only tiles that the user would be seeing is rounds and notifications. If a person is a technician is performing maintenance, then he would have access to the orders, materials, and notifications along with the forms. So based on the role the user is working with in that particular plant, these tiles can show. Not only that, let's say, for example, if you're in the work order screen, and then you have the order types, right? So what order types are available for a particular user? Maybe a user is allowed to only create PM01s but change PM02s. So to that level of granularity, the solution can be customized, wherein technicians can only change certain order types and not create certain order types. The technicians can change notifications but not create notifications. So all of these different rules are definitely possible within the solution.
Okay. Any more questions from the audience? Any audio calls or questions rather? If not, okay, I think we need to end this webinar right now, but please, again, feel free to email us with any more questions. Once again, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.